To Pakhuis de Zwijger, here's the mic. Also, welcome to everyone at home watching the live stream. I'm very glad you all made it through this weather and that you're here tonight on a Monday evening to listen to Fotokroniek. And this is the 95th edition of Fotokroniek, with many thanks to Dufo and Pictorite. And for those of you who don't know, Fotokroniek is our monthly program in which we delve into the stories and the work of photographers. My name is Julia Muller. I used to work here as a program maker, and now I host events like this. And I'm super honored that I get to moderate this program tonight because, as you well know, I'll be interviewing Sakir Khader. And Sakir and me, we met back in 2020 when he was making the series De Puinhopen van Irak, The Ruins of Iraq, that some of you may know, some of you may not know. If you don't know yet, please watch. And it was during that evening that we organized afterwards, in the light of the series here in Pakhuis de Zwijger, that we talked about the importance of the media and the importance of journalists and the importance of the work of journalists, especially in the Middle East. And I can't stress enough, actually, how important and urgent this topic remains today. And that's also what we will talk about tonight. Before I introduce Sakir in his full glory, I'm curious to see who is here, who we have in the room. So I'm want to see who here is a photographer, and you can show me by just raising your hand. Any photographers in the room? Yeah, Sakir, I know you're here. Any filmmakers? Amazing. Any other kinds of makers, people potentially exploring their voice or their narrative, working on work? Don't be shy. Lovely. Does anyone want to share what they're working on, potentially? Okay, maybe we'll hear about your work later on in the evening. Are there people who have watched or seen work of Sakir before? Quite a lot of you. And is there anyone who wants to share specifically why they're here tonight, why they're interested? Ah, we still have to warm up a bit, I see. But lucky for you, there will be plenty of occasions to ask questions throughout the evening. What we'll be doing is we go through Sakir's work. I must say in a flight, very fast. But I'll ask him questions, and there will be a lot of room for you to ask questions as well. And this brings me to the next step, which is introducing our guest of tonight, Sakir Khader, who is a Palestinian documentary photographer and film director. He's based in the Netherlands and he's worked for the Volkskrant, for Brandpunt, for NOS op 3. And basically his main focus is the relationship between life and death, specifically in the Middle East. It's not a light topic tonight. He was nominated for the Tegel, a very prestigious journalistic award, twice, and he was awarded the Zilveren Camera for his work in 2022, but it was awarded the prize in 2023 for the best portrait. You might know him by, as I mentioned before, The Ruins of Iraq, De Puinhopen van Irak, or by his documentary Obara. And finally, before I call him out to the stage, Sakir is known for his raw yet super intimate signature style, and he always seems to be able to illustrate the sorrows of life. And I can't wait to talk about that more with himself. Sakir. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you all for being here.
And yeah, we are going to warm up the room so that they feel comfortable enough to also ask questions later on. But let's start by this. We're going to go through your work, which covers a lot of the Middle East, but also covers quite a broad time span. Broadly speaking, what will we be seeing?
We're going to see a lot of my old work, especially from Afghanistan, Syria, and from something that's coming, actually, maybe this week or next week, a big project in Palestine. I've been photographing for this project for over a year. We're gonna actually go throughout my mind, you know, ADHD all over the place, many things. Things I especially would love to share, and especially the development I've made as a photographer and documentary filmmaker in the past years. So yeah, that's actually what you're gonna see.
it might be messy, so bear with us. And we agreed we would start with the first photo you ever took as a, let's say, professional photographer, or after you decided to be a professional photographer?
After buying my first professional camera and deciding to start this journey.
Let's go.
That's this picture. It's literally one of the first frames with this camera after I bought it and I went to Palestine in 21. It's the village of my grandmother. And literally the day I arrived, I just, I arrived in Jordan, I crossed the border, I entered Nablus, and this young man was shot dead by the Israelis. And so yeah, this is the first picture I took by then.
And for people who don't know, Nablus is not in Gaza, but in the West Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And can you situate us? What is the situation in Nablus or around Nablus?
It's a chaos since '48. But the thing is, in the West Bank, since I actually started in 21, I've been warning for an escalation that's gonna happen in Palestine. And by then, I still remember it was already the Gaza War of 21. We remember the riots and the settler attacks in Sheikh Jarrah in Jerusalem when they attacked the Al-Kurd family and many other families. So by then, I still remember in January, I already saw that there was many things boiling in Palestine, and then I pitched at the VPRO the story to go to a Sheikh Jarrah. It was before it was well known by the media. And then they said, yeah, it's been going on for a long time. What's the new narrative and stuff? And then suddenly the war erupted in Gaza, and it was a chaos. And then I went to Beta because I didn't want to go to Jerusalem, and it was too risky to go. For me, it's impossible to go in a legal way to Jerusalem. We have to go through other routes and stuff. So I decided to go to the village of my grandmother because I was seeing on Facebook many of the villagers were getting injured and some even were killed. So I said to the VPRO, okay, I need to go now to the village of my grandmother. And then I made, it's a documentary actually, it's called The Revolt of Beta. It was for the VPRO program Frontlinie. You should definitely all watch it. But yeah, I still remember when I took this photo. For me as a photographer, I used to photograph a lot on film as well. But by then, when I took this photo, I don't have very fast cameras. I use medium format, which is very slow. So I have to decide what shot I'm gonna take. So at that time, I was walking in the mass up to the mountain, and then we have to go down to the graveyard. So I walked, and I saw, okay, when we were going up, there were some houses, some walls. So I went. Oh shit, sorry. I went running and then I climbed on one of the walls and I stood there waiting for the martyr to pass. And then I took this photo. And because the light was like reflecting on the white sheets, it's kind of a bit of sad art, you know? Yeah.
Did you know right away that this was gonna be an important photo, or like the photo that it's become?
Especially in the stage of my career now, yes, of course. It was the start of a new journey after working a few years for a newspaper as an investigative journalist. And then I had to go throughout a lot of things to gain experience because I didn't do the classic film school. When I was young, living in Vlaardingen, a city far away from Amsterdam, and I didn't have anyone in the family who was going to the film school or any friends. So for us, it was either you study law or you go to study economics. And I applied many times for the film school, and I wasn't accepted because they asked for a portfolio, and that mail went always to my spam box, and I never saw it. Like 4 times, 4 years in a row.
And yet we are here. We very clearly in much of your work, many of the photos, most of the film work, we see a lot of not so optimistic themes.
Mm-hmm.
From the very beginning, was it clear that you had to go after this after conflict.
Yeah, from since young age actually, since I like I've been always saying I'm gonna show the harsh reality of what's happening in the Middle East since I'm a young kid actually, because when I was young, before the 2000s, I used to go to Palestine and I had my best friend Qusay, and we used to play a lot and just hang around and do like bullying everyone and throwing stones at cab drivers. And then the Intifada started, and I started to see the violence on television, on Al Jazeera and all the channels at home. And in 2002, he was killed by the Israelis, by a sniper. And then I said, like, I'm gonna show the world what's happening to us. And then I started, even when I went to Palestine every year, even during the war, to ask family what happened. I was curious. I wanted to know what's going on and what exactly happened. And later on, I developed myself that I wanted to become a visual storyteller. Yeah, and so on.
And you didn't just stay or went to Palestine, but you went to many places around.
Mm-hmm.
How did you decide where to go and what to picture?
Actually, because of the stories I used to see in the media, when you see many journalists go on an embed with American soldiers, Dutch soldiers in Iraq, Afghanistan, and we used to see that perspective, but not much dared to go. I think I heard my voice double.
A little bit of an echo.
Yeah.
I think they will work on it as we continue.
It's okay. I used to see these stories, but I missed a lot of the stories which contain the side of the people who are living in the heartland of the country, like Afghanistan. Like, so many things happened there we haven't seen. So many war crimes. Iraq, the same. For me, as an Arabic-speaking Dutch-born Palestinian, I felt my responsibility to go there and to tell the stories, because I had a connection with these people without even knowing them, because language connects, religion connects. And especially as a Palestinian, you're very welcome in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria. So I had to use that, actually. And I find it very harsh to see what were happening in our region, and they were used to still calling it a war on terror. Like, a war on terror is not like carpet bombing areas, killing people, torturing people, bringing them without any case to Guantanamo. So that's why I do what I do, and decided to do what I do.
And we're gonna talk some more about the way you do it and what you show us exactly later on. Do you maybe want to go to a next image?
Yeah, this is a short. Like, I have an upcoming film. I filmed for 55 hours on the front lines in Syria. It's a film about the death, about death, what that means. That like doesn't know anyone. It just comes for you, and like I filmed this at that time in 2018-19. It was like even my first film experience before the ruins of Iraq. I just went there, didn't know what to do. I just did improvisation.
What you felt you had to do.
It was the feeling, because for me the war zone was, it was really the first experience in a real war zone. I'm just gonna show you the clip.
اسمعك شورا ليه بعد شورا ولا اللي صور بعد شورا شايف الاستطلاع ما تشوف الكاميرا هنيتك عايل عليها مثل الريش لا تساويك 50 قطعة.
What do we see?
The raw reality, like an intimate look, like it's just a small compilation of the things I've seen there. But yeah, I was with a local rebel commander. I don't know if you all know him. It's Abdel Basit Sarut.
Let's assume that people don't know him. Who is he?
He was the former goalkeeper of the Syrian national team before the revolution and chosen as the third best goalkeeper of Asia. And then when the Syrian revolution started, he became one of the singers. And he started to sing. And when people started to be killed and murdered, he became a rebel commander. And then, yeah, like after the siege of Homs, Homs is a place that got besieged by the Syrian regime, and many got killed there. He got out and he went to Idlib, Hama. So I spent there 3 months with him and with his men, following them closely to see what daily lives look like on the front line. And at that time, I was still like, if I look at the style I've been shooting on, it's especially actually the style I shoot in now, very photographic, like moving images, focusing on one and keep it rolling, actually. Yeah.
You want to say more about it?
Like, I said many times when, like, especially this clip, I'm gonna just let it play. It's like for me, it was a first experience. I was so overwhelmed by death, by bombs, by planes. So sometimes I was scared in the first minutes, and then adrenaline is taking over, and I just started to follow everyone what they were doing. At this time, a Russian drone was actually hovering above us, just looking for the targets to fire with mortars at them, and we were just hiding below an olive tree. And it was winter, so the tree doesn't have any, how do you say, bladeren?
Leaves.
Leaves, yeah. Sometimes I forget, you know. Ze vallen steeds dichterbij. Yeah, and at the time, you know, the feeling like we were like hiding, and there was this little boy on the left. He's the cousin of Abdel Basit Sarut. He was telling me, when you don't hear the rocket be launched, then know we are gonna be kebab. So, like trying to calm me down. Like for me, it was the first time, like sitting there with the camera. But yeah, it was crazy times.
And how did you find him? How did you get in touch with him and get him as far as to allow you to follow him, to engage with him, to report him, basically?
I swear, you know, I just arrived there. I cannot tell you how I arrived there. Because CIA will directly like...
Yeah, the CIA is watching this live stream.
But I arrived there and I told the guys that welcomed me, look, how is it with Abdel Basit? You know, he's the first one I remember when the Syrian revolution started. I want to go to him.
And was this your plan? What if they had said,
no,
nah, we don't know. We don't know how to help you.
He said, okay, I can fix his number. And then we called him and he was, oh, Palestinian, okay, let him come.
And you stayed with him the entire time?
Yeah. Okay, sometimes, of course, I stayed with some of his men because he was on leave and stuff. But yeah, it was crazy times. Like, you just go, he said, like, come to this village. And then we drove like for a few hours, and I waited near the front lines in the village, and then Abu Rakan is his name. He came to pick me up. I was like a little kid with a Kalashnikov. He was 16, 17. I thought, okay. And then he told me, okay, come with me. My uncle's waiting for you. And I just went with him. It went all so smooth. And then I still remember that day when I came there, and I had a Zoom voice recorder with me, the camera. And I told him, this is a voice recorder. Like, he asked me about my equipment. What is this? And I told him, this is my voice recorder. It's a machine to record sound. I translated in Arabic like a makina la sot. And he was like, oh, makina, like machine. Does it need oil as well? And he was making fun of me. and then I started to like, you know, okay, let me portray these guys. I took portraits of them and stuff with my camera. And he said, oh, are we at the passport office? You're taking a passport photo of me. Like the whole time, like joking and stuff. Then I felt like the vibe, as if I'm sitting to one of my friends. Yeah, we had this too. Like going to the front lines.
Still in Syria, right?
Yeah. This is actually the stills video, the style like I'm still developing now of like just having moving images. Just like an intimate, raw look at people. It's just like the camera is just watching them and they watch me and they're waiting and there's nothing happening. But that's creating the tension. Like RPGs, PKM machine guns.
Yeah, when we were talking last week, when we were preparing tonight, you said it's kind of like a moving still life. And I very much like the sound or the naming of that. But we also talked about film over photography or photography over film. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, that was a crazy question, but like I choose film above photography, to be honest. Because if you have a film with all the emotion... Kijk, look, Dutch, English.
Look, kijk.
Like in photography, I have to give you a lot of context. You can, like, this photo can have a thousand meanings. But in film, you capture that moment, you capture the emotions, the sound. So it's all present in that moment, which is more valuable, to be honest. And it's harder to get something on film than on photo.
Yeah, so basically you take an audience or a spectator with you as if they're with you standing there, hearing the sound, seeing like the lips curl up when there's tension, etc.
Yeah, it's a full experience, especially if you make a film for cinema and you have the audience. I want to have the audience almost as if they were standing in film next to me, seeing what I did in POV.
And yet at the same time, it's black and white, which also takes away or creates a different layer between you, the audience, and whatever the audience is seeing versus what you have seen when you were there. Why black and white?
Like black and white, for film I use color and black and white as well. Depends on the situation, depends on the project. But photography, always black and white. Because I said it before, without living in dignity and freedom, I cannot photograph in color. And once my homeland is liberated, I will photograph in color.
You'll see it right away.
Yeah, oh, this photo, Chihuahua.
What are we seeing?
His name is Muhammad al-Saadi. We call him Chihuahua because he's an adult man, but he doesn't grow, you know, he's just small. So they used to call him in the Jenin refugee camp Chihuahua. This is part of my new upcoming project. And I took this photo, when was this exactly? I think in June. Yeah. I wanted to. He's part of the Jenin Brigade, but I wanted to show who these people are and what they are doing and how life in the camp is. So I told him, like, he told me about his bullet wound. He got like wounded between my two trips, and then he showed it to me, and then I just portrayed him how it is, just raw.
And for the people who don't know, Jenin is also in the West Bank.
Yeah. Sorry, I need to give some context.
Context.
Jenin is part on the north and western part of the West Bank, very close to Haifa, and many people who live in the Jenin refugee camp are used to live in the areas that are like ethnically cleansed in the 48 areas. And they set up later the camp in Jenin, and it's part actually of the Jenin city, but it's a war-owned neighborhood with almost 20,000 people living there in an area, super small area. Yeah, this is also one of the photos inside the camp of their equipment, just chilling on the couch. This is a photo of Al-Aqsa.
And Al-Aqsa is in Jerusalem?
Yes.
And what is Al-Aqsa?
The Rock of the Dome, the golden mosque. This is where all the battles are being waged for. Some men riding horses in Afghanistan. Then I've been in 22, like in 21 I used to work a lot in Palestine. In 22 I worked only in Afghanistan. I've been many times to Afghanistan. And this photo was taken the first time, it was January 22, like a few months after the Taliban took over the country. Like I don't have my
Did you only take, you have your glasses here, I think.
Yeah.
We're both struggling. In Afghanistan, did you mainly take photos or were you also working on a film?
Like the first trip, I took everything. I always, like when I travel, I carry a big box with me. It weighs more like 50 kilos. There is a big cinema camera inside, 4 or 5 photo cameras, a Polaroid. So I always have everything with me because I don't know, sometimes I feel this has to be a photo, sometimes this has to be a moving image. But in Afghanistan, the first trip, I did a film, but actually a photographic film. It's called Ahmad's Kapotte Land, Ahmad's Broken Land. It was about Wardak and about all the drone strike that happened there, like in the 2 years before the Americans withdrew. So by then, yeah, I traveled with a local man with his car to his village, the village of his parents. And we traveled throughout villages where many, many people were killed.
And what was the difference between back then and your more recent trip in 2022?
How do you mean?
Did you go to the same places or was it
in 22?
Yeah.
No, I've been actually in Afghanistan all over the place. In 22, the first, always like arriving in Kabul. But I've been in Wardak, and later on I went to Uruzgan. I made a documentary by then for the Dutch television, for Fotokroniek as well, about Chora. It's a Dutch bombardment that happened, and these people like started a file against the Dutch government for war crimes. Oh, it was crazy, crazy times. I got very sick, and then after arriving, I drank water. I was so thirsty because it was so hot, so I drank water from a well. So I got like 3 days later, I got cholera. It was crazy.
And then you just stayed put?
No, I just went filming. I didn't know that I had it, but once I was filming and was so hot, so much sun, I didn't know that I was drying out. So I almost passed out by then, and I went to sit, and then I felt dizzy, and then I eat only apples and bread. I lost so many weight.
For 30 days.
It's no problem.
And is the photo that was awarded the Zilveren Camera, is that in here?
No, I shoot that like when I went with Nieuwsuur, I went with Zeynep to just as a DOP. And then I took this photo of a kid. It was just a coincidence. I saw the kid. He was part of a story, and I took that photo. I don't know where it is. But it was in Chora, by the way. There was a man who lost his leg and fingers and eyes due to a Dutch bombardment in Chora.
Do you ever interview the people that you work with and put it in text, or is it just a photo?
No, I always talk with people. Like, I find it very important to come really close to someone's soul, to have a connection, as if the camera doesn't exist anymore, as if I capture him with my eyes. I love to build the relationships with the people I spend time with. I'm not just a guy who flies in, takes photos, hopes to win the World Press photo and like leaves. That's not ethically.
No, you even stay when you have cholera. That's different. No, but what I meant is when people see your photographs, do they just get to see the photograph, or what other context do you want to give them for them to understand the story behind the photo?
It depends on the project, honestly. Like I was working in 2022 and 21, like photographing without any idea what I'm actually photographing. It was just for me a start of the journey. Nowadays in 23, when I started like my real big project, there's a big story behind it. And then I really like, I always collect like notes from the people I photograph. I just write something down. I collect the voice. I just record my own voice in the voice note, that if in the near future I make a book, I have information, background about the people I photographed. But now it's more than in 2021 and 22. I really like collect a lot of info, background, and even I let people write things in my notebook.
So is that typical Sakir style, to start without a plan and just see where it leads you?
No, it used to be without a plan. Now I have plans. Now I become more smarter.
Can you tell us about your current plan? What do you want to tell the world, let's say?
I've been photographing like for this project from 1/1 until 1/10 in Palestine. For many people, 7th of October was a turning point, as if it started then. But actually what's happening in the West Bank now, like Gaza is much more intense and heavy. But for the West, I'm talking about the West Bank, actually what's now happening has been happening for the past 2 years, past 60 years. But especially the West Bank, I've been warning for a full escalation. Like I think 4 months, now 4 months pre 7th of October, I tweeted like, we are getting a very bloody war soon, but you all sleeping. Of course, everyone's sleeping. Nobody cared. And I've been warning for 1 year for what's gonna happen, and that's what I actually showed in my new photography series in the Jenin refugee camp. How the circle of violence is keep going, and how people are like just being killed for nothing. Just a raw, intimate look in a society, in a group of friends. And as I said, like, you know, for me, I don't try to do my best to humanize my people. We are humans. And that's my work. It's just portraying them as they are, as it is at that moment. This is Afghanistan too. If you have any questions, by the way, you just can...
Yeah, you can just raise your hand and
No
I'll come, or my colleague will come. Let's go for a question?
Yeah,
straight
why
away.
Not? You had a photo of a guy from Jenin camp that you called Chihuahua.
Yeah.
But he was without a mask. And I know that if people fight, they fight with a mask. But is this not dangerous for them?
Like later on, you will see why he's without a mask. But we have many people, like, I photograph many people. Some I blur their faces. Some they are just exposed because the Israeli intelligence, some people are known to Israeli intelligence already. Like we call it in Arabic, mahroukin. Like their name is already burned. And we have people who are like not known that they are fighting. So we never show their faces. Sometimes people like reply on my photos, oh, you are like just giving Israeli intelligence information to kill these people. But you know, that's super nonsense, of course, and always hurts my feelings when someone is saying these things to me, as if I'm responsible for killing my own people. There was always a reason behind why we show a face, why we don't show a face.
Any other questions for now? I will come to you in a moment. So this question about your relationship with your subjects, it's kind of a distant term, especially in the light of what you just said. You know, you really build up a relationship. What happens after such a photo? What happens to the people? What happens to the story? What happens to your relationship with them?
Depends which country. Like in Palestine, after taking a photo, 1 hour later they message me, can I get the photo? It's really fun. That's such an Arabic thing, you know?
It's for their own documentation as well.
Yeah, for their Facebook.
But obviously this is part of a large project, and it will be published in Dutch media or other media. but at the same time, it also becomes documentation of a life that is not so often documented. What impact does it have for them, if any?
Depends on what photo you take, of course, and it's you build a legacy, you build the history of our people, and they know that. I try always to explain to people what I'm doing. I'm not a news photographer. I'm not a press photographer. So they kind of bit of understand that nowadays. Even in certain places in Palestine, I am known for the guy with the parachute pants, because I wear this like brown pants, and I used to have long hair. So they say, المصور.
Do people come and find you, or is it really always the other way around?
No, sometimes, like many times nowadays, people find me. I always get like messages nowadays. Even, do you have a picture of my dead brother, or do you have a picture? Like, they call me sometimes the photographer of the death, because many people I photographed died, or will die shortly after.
And how does it make you feel?
I captured them in a moment that they were strong, that they were smiling. It's part of the history. Of course, you always feel, I don't know what to say. Like, of course you feel sad, because it's always people dying. Like, for me, honestly, like, building friendship has become a full-time job. Like, many of my friends died.
And don't you ever think, fuck this, I'm gonna quit?
No. And then the ones who are oppressing will win. We need to keep going.
Do you think Dutch media specifically, but maybe more broadly speaking, Western media is slowly starting to have enough attention for the Middle East, and maybe a different perspective than the perspective they usually show?
You mean, how do you
well,
mean?
you've been there for quite a long time. I think working from 2017, 18, but obviously coming there for a long time. Do you see anything changing?
Honestly, this war on Gaza, I lost my hope again. Sometimes you think, oh, we're working diversity and we're changing, better people. And then how can we still keep... Isn't it a shame that we call the one children and the other young adults, where they also men below 18? How can we do that in 2023, where we call for so much diversity and keep like doing this lobbying for more diversity, and we keep the one is dying, the other got killed.
And yet you get out of bed every day and you try.
Yeah, you see it. You see people calling for the bombardment of our people, saying no to a ceasefire. We have to keep continuing this operation. And the hosts of programs not being like with critical questions and just letting them talk. I don't know. Media has not everyone, of course. We have really good journalists, but in general, we have a long way ahead. And these recent events have proved everything.
Yeah. Okay, another question. I'm coming to you.
The first question you showed, I saw a couple of boys. The rest were men. Where are the women?
You mean the very, very first photo we saw?
Yeah, for my project in Jenin, I've shot the mothers and everything, but in particularly, like for me as a man, a Muslim man in the Middle East, like I cannot like just go and photograph the woman, and that's a question I many times get. Like, for me, there is something we call aib in Arabic. You cannot like just go to women and photograph them. There has to be a particular reason for it. If you go to women photographers in the Middle East, they portray a lot of women. Because as a woman and woman in our region, it's more comfortable to get along with each other. And especially Afghanistan, you know, if you know the Afghan culture, it's like, for me, it's difficult to show certain things. I'm privileged with certain things, and I cannot show certain things.
I think this question also emphasizes the matter of perspective, and the fact that you will always, of course, have a perspective, whichever one it is. How do you feel about trying to create an objective story? Do you think that's possible?
What's objective?
Yes.
For me, I show one side. because I want to show that side very good and get really close to that side. I cannot go like and show Palestinians being killed and then go and ask the IDF spokesperson, oh, were these people terrorists or not? I think I think media always, like, we get to learn about objectivity at the universities and stuff, but once you're really in the field, it doesn't exist anymore.
Do you think there's an obsession with so-called objectivity that's just useless?
Yeah, when it fits our political agenda, we need to be objective. But once there's no agenda, it's you've seen it, you know. We call one invasion an occupation, and the other we don't call it an occupation. I don't gonna mention the names and again repeat what I said on my socials before.
You can fill it out, yeah.
Yeah.
What are we? Who and what are we seeing right now?
From my time in Afghanistan, I'm just trying to. Yeah, this is actually in January. This is a mother. This is a mother. She's waiting in front of the hospital for the body of her son to get out, to bring him back to the village to be buried. It's like the start of my journey in 2023, and the things I've seen. This is actually in the fridge room after they took the body out. All his friends saying goodbye. There's that photo. Some panoramas from the village beta of my grandmother. I shoot all these in 2021. These are Chechen fighters in Syria.
And here we do see their faces covered.
Yeah.
And what is this?
This is a sniper. He's hiding well.
And what if we would zoom out from this photo, and we would look at the specific location or the building that he's set in? What will we see?
It's one of the buildings where they were like staying close to the front lines, from where they will start their operations. Like I used to sleep there, like because there's nowhere to go, honestly. But we were sleeping in a cave below the house. The area was well known for the caves. Pre the war, the people used to use these caves for the olives and to stash certain seasonal fruits and everything. This is me, a self-portrait. We went to fill the gas canister on a motorcycle.
Do you do a lot of photography, self-portraits?
No, I always take a few just for memories.
And then you,
because everyone
do you print them?
Every time I ask people, can you take a photo of me? I take the most beautiful photos of the people. And when I give them a camera, I put the settings, even the photo is so ugly, out of focus. So I always put my camera on a timer, either on the trunk of a car or something, and then I take my own photos.
And I've also seen you use the mirror, the rear side mirror of cars, to sometimes give yourself some face in the work you make.
So you can see like who's filming actually. Especially I used to do that everywhere, always in the mirror of the car.
But do you think it's important as let's say as an author or as a photographer to also show some of yourself, of who you are and why you're doing it?
I honestly don't care about it because the story is not about me. Like I have these evenings to talk about what I do, but in my stories it has to be about the people, about the story. And if I'm an asset for the story, of course I will talk, I will show myself. But if it's not necessary.
And when are you an asset?
Like series, like Our Man with the Taliban, from my friend Thomas. Then you're an asset because you tell the story, you bring us into you're like a tour guide into that land.
Yeah, and also in the ruins of Iraq, we hear you speak a lot. So we also hear your reflection of the things you're seeing, the things you're experiencing, but also about the things we're not seeing.
Mm-hmm. But then the voice is an asset because the voice-over. Because I used to show the people. Sometimes I was giving the camera to my friend Muhammad Rasul. He was the local producer for the series. We were traveling on the ground together.
And he's here today.
Yeah, you asked me, did you bring some footage from Iraq? I told you, no, I forgot about it. But actually, I brought Muhammad.
So if Muhammad wants to add anything, then he's very welcome too.
Don't tell them when I fell into the spider hole.
Oh, what happened? What happened with the spider hole?
Like it's the place where they, when they arrested Saddam Hussein, they took him out of this hole. And we went to that place to film that place. And then actually I was walking around with my camera and I fell inside it.
Do you like spiders? Do you
No, I'm scared of snakes, spiders, everything.
You're scared of snakes, spiders, everything, but you do look for danger in other settings.
No, I'm scared of danger too, the first minutes. And then I start to think how to save myself from the danger. But I don't like, I'm not a guy who's going to the danger. The danger is always coming to me.
Aha. Any other
Like
questions?
if I'm in Jenin, Jenin is a Palestinian city. If I'm in Jenin and just hang around and suddenly Israeli special forces invade Jenin, I can't do anything about it.
I leave you with that. I saw a question here.
Oh, hi. I don't have a question personally, but I'm asking for someone at home because she couldn't make it. My friend Nihal, she wanted to know if it's difficult to facilitate the documentary project with a Dutch newspaper that can be biased against Palestine and has been silencing Palestinians. Basically, have you been facing censorship, that sort of thing?
Honestly, like for me as a filmmaker and photographer here, I haven't faced it in the Netherlands, to be honest, because I'm working now currently on a long film. It's going to be out maybe in 3-4 years about Palestine, a really big film. And everyone is like standing behind the project and having trust in my work. But that's maybe because of my particular style, and I'm just standing for who I am. I'll never back down or just do something I don't want to do. So I don't know, and maybe, of course, the Netherlands, okay, many things are not going well in this country, but many things as well. If you look at Germany, what they do to protesters, or to France, like, yeah. Does that answer the question?
Anyone else? Just raise your hand. Someone's pointing? Yes? No? Okay, I'll come to you.
My question is actually two-folded. So both questions are about coping. So the recent victory of PVV must be fucking sick for you to experience as a Dutch person in the Netherlands. I can imagine. So how do you cope with that being like with that unraveling in front of your eyes in Holland? So that's one question about coping with this. Mm-hmm. And the other one is also about coping in terms of the stuff you experience, whether it's Palestine, Syria, Afghanistan. Do you still feel you manage mentally? And if not, if you tip to the edge, what tricks do you use to cope with it, with these traumas, with this intensity?
Like regarding the first question, like honestly, I'm just going on with life. Like I don't care about the VVD. Like if you see, either it's the VVD they are responsible for the toeslagenaffaire. Now we have the PVV. It's all the same, you know, for me. Like systematically, racism has been present in the Dutch society. So either it's PVV, VVD. We've even seen GroenLinks making weird statements regarding the Palestine war. So yeah, I just do my thing. I just ignore it. If someone is gonna be racist, okay, please come, be a man. Like, they won't be able to silence me. And of course, it's very worrying that many who were hiding their opinions now dare to speak them out, but it's always been present. Today, our enemy is Russia, tomorrow it's the Muslims again. And how many rounds you make, it's always the Muslims who will be the enemy of the people again. So you've seen it, you know, after ISIS, it was Muslims, headscarves, niqabis, hijabis. And then Ukraine, it was Russia. Like we forgot about the Muslims. And now again, it's Muslims. It was, I don't know, to always be present. But we have many good people in this country too, so. And regarding the second question, I think if I will sit with a mental doctor, he will get PTSD from what I will tell him. For me, I think the things I've seen in my youth will keep me, and the reason I do this work will keep me strong. I'm not just a man who comes from a wealthy family, who had the best universities and everything, and went to Afghanistan, saw death and sorrow, and came back and like couldn't recover from the trauma. That's possible too, but I think because the trauma was inside me before I was born as a Palestinian, and I think it developed the trauma like by the years, and now I'm 33 years and the trauma is deeply rooted in my DNA, but the trauma is always my power to do this work and to come close to the people. So yeah. I want to show you, like you asked me the things I've been going through. Still remember, this was also recently. Like sometimes, yeah, I film myself because there are people around me, I don't want to film them or photograph them because that's indeed dangerous. But yeah, this is a little of the things I've been going through, you know, while working, just doing my work. And some will say, why don't you just wear a press vest? I was walking and just photographing people in the street, and suddenly Israeli special forces raided the place. So it's not my fault for not wearing press vest. It was on the other side of the camp.
Allahu Akbar.
That's crazy. I'm laughing, but it's kind of a bit of weird sometimes, you know. I don't know what to do, you know. I'm laughing because I don't know, it's automatically. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to, I made this dia setup, but it's a bit ADHD, you know.
But you're
everything.
You're skipping through so fast, so let's take the time to.
No, I want to come to this point. Like when I work, I was filming here with my big camera during my time in Beta, and this is, you know, this is who I am, and that's what I'm doing, and you'll see it in the conversation. This is an Israeli soldier, and they were destroying the roads leading to the mountain to withheld ambulances from reaching the mountain to move the wounded. So it's part of the daily intimidations they were doing.
عشان انا بقول لك يلا ترجع لورا.
بدك تضربني؟
لا ليش تضربنا؟
طب شو بدك؟
ترجع لورا، انا بقول لك ترجع لورا.
ده انت ارجع لورا، لا تطب فيه انت وسلاحك، انا شو حامل بس هالكاميرا. انا خطر لهاي؟ خلص يا زلمه.
ترجع لورا.
طب شو فيك؟ يا زلمه ما
لورا.
ما تدزش، خليك. شو فيك يا زلمه؟ سلاحك معك، رصاص معك، انا هالكاميرا، شو فيك؟ يلا شيلها نزل الامان. طخ طخ. خلص ماني راجع لورا، خليك غاد.
لورا وين المي؟
بدك تشتغل بدون ما انا اصور ها؟ يلا خلص روح.
Like for me, you know, at the time in 21, like I'm doing well. He didn't shoot me. But nowadays they're bombing all our colleagues. They're killing their families. They don't have any mercy. They never had mercy anyways, but it's as a Palestinian journalist inside Palestine, it's even more difficult. I have the privilege to leave whenever I want, since I have a Dutch passport. But I also have a Palestinian. Once I'm there, I don't have the privilege. The only privilege I have is to leave whenever I want with the Dutch passport. Well, it's kind of a bit of crazy, you know. Nowadays, we're seeing it's been normalized, like 67 journalists killed, and it's quite silence in the world, you know. The only one, like, keep telling is the Arabian journalists, the other journalists who care about their colleagues in Gaza, who are, like, risking their lives to show us what's happening. But like, they're killing us today, they will kill us tomorrow, after tomorrow, next week, in a year. Like, the world gave them a green card, do whatever you want. That's a shame. Like, I want to show you as well, this is from Jenin. I was besieged literally between between, like I think 20 meters away, the Israeli special forces were trying to enter this place where I was. And yeah, and I was sitting, I couldn't go anywhere. Like if they would enter, like, yeah, maybe it's done, you know? So we're just sitting, waiting.
A lot of these situations are really, I mean, they give me my freaking heartbeat in my throat when you're facing this Israeli soldier. But what's the effect of the camera in that moment?
I think the camera scared him more than his gun me.
You often say the camera as your weapon, but do you see this like beyond this Israeli soldier? Is that what happens? People are scared of the camera?
Not people are scared of the stories being told in a certain way that will uncover war crimes, that will show a truth that's happening, that will show what's going on somewhere.
And the other way around, when people see the camera, do they feel potentially sometimes as if you're their, let's say, savior, that you can uncover something that they want to tell?
Of course, you have sometimes people who are really in poverty. They think that when you come with the camera, you will solve their problems. But I always tell them honestly, like, I'm not an NGO. I'm not gonna remove the pain. I'm not gonna save the world. I'm just here to tell a story. At least trying to tell the story.
Let's talk inspiration a little bit, because you're self-taught in many ways, and you also work by an urge of just having to do it. Are there some photographers or journalists or filmmakers that you have learned from in any specific way, or that you would say impact you?
Yeah, I think regarding, if we talk about a Dutch photographer, I like Eddie van Wessel a lot. That he just went to Chechnya back then, like it's the same what I did, just go and show what's happening. And I love really his style. I love his work. It's so intimate as well. And yeah, and also Abbas, the Iranian photographer, he's a true legend. Like he went to all places and showed really, in a poetic way, the places. It's Afghanistan, Palestine, Iran itself. It's really inspirational for me. And Michael Brown even, he went to Libya. His camera broke down, so he photographed a lot with his iPhone. A raw reality. His book is called Libyan Sugar. Definitely, I like.
Living in Sugar?
Libyan Sugar.
Libyan Sugar.
With a lion on the cover. It's not promotional what I'm doing, but it's a really good book that shows a really raw reality of the war zone with a lot of blood, but also people. Like it goes to, it's the route to death actually. And regarding film, I like Gianfranco Rossi. It's an Italian filmmaker who made the film Notorno and The Ringway about Rome. And the film about the Pope recently. His style is amazing. He just go to a place for 2 weeks just watching and then deciding what shot he's gonna take. And he's an old man and he's carrying this heavy Ari with him. I hope I'll be able to do the same at that age.
Would you ever consider making any fictional work?
No. No, never.
Never?
Never.
Okay, let's see. Let's check back in let's say 30 years and let's see.
No, maybe
what
if I make fiction, it's gonna be based on true reality with no Hollywood fantasies and stuff.
Noted. It's not fiction, but it is a very different project, and it's not in here. But do you want to say something about Obada?
Obada, yeah, Obada is. I don't know. How many of you don't know do know Obada? The
Have
film
any
I
of
made?
you watched the film that came out in 2021? I see some nodding. Okay, maybe some context is in place.
Yeah, it's a documentary film about a Syrian YouTuber. So I remember after I made The Ruins of Iraq, Ruby, she's one of the, I don't know what, eindredacteur.
Yeah, like
editors,
the editors.
Editors of the VPRO. She contacted me if I might be interested to do a film in the Netherlands about a Syrian guy living in Angeren, a village eastern of the Netherlands.
Close to Enschede, right?
No, close to Nijmegen.
Nijmegen.
He had like 2.4 million YouTube followers, and in the Netherlands he was an unknown man. So yeah, I did a documentary about him. Like I think by then we get 10 shooting days or something. I spent 85 with him. It was COVID, nothing to do anyways.
And you had to stay in the Netherlands for a change.
Yeah, it was really like I think the turning point in my career as well, in what I wanted, because it was the first documentary about one person, and I came really close to him. I even filmed fights with his brothers, with his parents, and showed the dilemma of a new family arriving in the Netherlands with the values they have from Syria, and a son living in the Netherlands, and like trying to build a life with the European values, and the dilemma and everything. And I just followed the whole life. I think you all should see that movie. But by then I fully knew that the style I want in film is stay close to people and just follow them and not being all over the place. And that I wanted to make cinema.
And when you're that close to someone, or maybe to his entire family, is there ever a point where you decide, okay, I filmed it, but I'm not going to use it?
Yeah, of course, you have to respect the family, and you have a lot of ethics. Like sometimes they were fighting, like really fist fighting, and I couldn't turn on the camera. It's like I would never use that footage because it will place the family into a bad light. It's unethically to use these kind of footages. Like I have it in Palestine as well. Sometimes there was a man, he got shot right in front of me in his face, a young kid actually, 15 years old. And he was laying there bleeding to death. I couldn't take that photo because maybe his mother will see that photo online. It's traumatizing for the mother.
How do you decide the line?
You have 1 second. I'm speedo, you know.
And sometimes maybe you take the photo and you decide later, I'm not gonna...
No, sometimes there are certain photos you take, and then I have one photo actually here. I don't know where it is, but it's a man, he was shot in his face, and he was bleeding as well, and to death. And I took this photo when they were carrying him on the brancard to the ambulance. But I never used that one because I don't know, it has something. There was no reason to use it. Like if you look at the footages and images coming out of Gaza now of all the dead babies and like really harsh moments, I find it important the world to see what's happening there. Because the world will say, no, it didn't happen. We have no proof. And even if we give them the proof, they will say, oh, it's fake. But we just keep it. It's an archive. One day maybe in The Hague we will use it, if The Hague will start a case. Yeah, a difficult topic, you know. Sometimes I don't want to become too harsh. It's a painful topic.
I see another question. Do you want to say something about this first?
This is the place, trouwens. This is the place, by the way, when you heard the shooting, I was besieged in with them. The man on the right with the scarf, he died recently. The man on the left, the big guy, he died also. The man with the Under Armour vest died also. Yeah.
A question?
You just said maybe one day all the living archive that everybody collected and the strength that gives you, and I applaud for you that you use your trauma as a strength to keep on going. But isn't there maybe a sense of, is it all worth it? Because apparently I have that same thing. You just give and give and give in a black hole. Mm-hmm. And everything that you do, every sound that you show or images, it's a black hole, nobody gets it. Why are you still keeping on going, even though what you said, it's something internally?
Yeah, because still many people want to see. Like you guys are all here because you want to listen. And many people watch the films and the work because they want to see. And even the people who don't want to see, someday there will be something human activated inside them and they will be change their perspective. I think this whole last few months changed perspective of many. So yeah, of course, we have to keep going and never back down. And it's very important to show the world what's going on. And even maybe the generation now is not fully going on with what's going on. Maybe the generation after, you see, like more and more revolt is coming from generation after generation. If you compare it to our parents, they were like staying silent, kind of bit of accepting that we were being oppressed. But we are like fighting back. We won't accept being oppressed. We won't accept to be like being thrown racist slurs at us. So yeah, we keep going.
I have another question here in the back.
Thanks. Sakir, did you ever have issues getting your footage out of the country since it's an occupied country, basically?
Like going out is sometimes much easier than going in, but I don't know what the situation is now. I'm going very soon back. But I try to encrypt my hard drives and stuff. But I don't had any issues in the past periods. Because I don't fly from Tel Aviv, by the way. I just crossed the border to Jordan.
Just keep on raising your hands if you have questions, then I know where to go to. But maybe regarding the question that you just asked, we see a lot of pain and hardship and sorrow in a lot of your work. What's the balance? Is there anything in you that just wants to show happy moments, for example, or moments of celebration? Because also that is, life in Afghanistan, life in Palestine. Oh, by the way, if you want to go back, yeah, this is the photo that won the Zilveren Camera.
This young kid, they sold his kidney to buy food. This is actually the aftermath of 20 years of occupation of Afghanistan. And
this was taken in 2022, right?
December 22 in Herat. Like for me, regarding this was, by the way, taken in Camp Holland, the former Dutch army base.
Also in Afghanistan.
And this is also Afghanistan. This is like the style like I've been developing on and like working on for years, just letting everything develop in front of me. This is actually just a moving image, That's why I prefer film also for photography, because this is a photo. This was like when I traveled to Afghanistan the first time in January 2022, when I said like I just carried everything with me and I traveled to Wardak. These are some like snaps from that period. And these are all victims of American war crimes.
يا خداي بمدح سما يا خداي بمدح سلاسل
we were kind of on the way, I think, to celebration. But before we do that, I was wondering, you know what happens when you're taking a photo with your iPhone and people think you're taking a photo and then actually you're taking a video, and people go like, "Oh my God, you took a video." Does that ever happen in the sense of, does it ever get awkward? Because you're standing for quite a long time just pointing your camera at...
It was actually with my big camera.
Yeah, so it's, what you have to imagine is you're standing here, there's this giant camera right in front of you, and then there's this group of people.
They like it, honestly.
But they're also, they're not joking about it. It's just, it's as if either side is completely at ease with you just standing there.
I don't know. It's my character, you know, trying to get people loving me, and I don't know how I do it sometimes. Like, my signature is really coming close to people. Maybe it's the honesty how I capture them, and the reason I'm there with my camera. I don't know.
And so, does it ever get awkward?
Come on. With the Israeli soldier.
I wouldn't describe that as awkward first thing, but yes. But no, try give us a situation in which, or maybe in which something failed.
No, sometimes, honestly, when there is a lot of grief, sometimes someone like comes to me and point, "Why are you still photographing? They will kill us all. So what's this photo helping for?" It's exactly what you asked me, you know. And at that moment, everyone is overwhelmed with emotion, so I can't explain him why I do this. So, and indeed, sometimes it can be annoying when like 10 cameras are pointing at you or the dead body of your son. Because for some people, it's just their job. They just capture the photo and they leave. And they send it to to the newspaper or something.
So what do you respond to this?
No, I just let them. It's their emotions at that point, at that moment. I have to respect it. Like, it's hard to keep explaining yourself as well.
I'm walking towards another question, which was here, right?
Thank you. It was kind of also in response to your question that in a lot of these images, it's not sorrow I see, it's strength and samud and resistance. And I wondered whether your choice of the title, The Camera as a Weapon, is it coming from the idea of resistance and the kind of steadfast resistance and that kind of form? You spoke about the archive, and is it capturing this archive, and where does that archive go, and who owns this archive in the images that you're capturing, the access to them in Jenin? I guess it's kind of, yeah, I guess where does this archive go so that everyone can see all this strength and all of this resistance?
Maybe in 7 months or something, there will be a big photo book. That's the archives. Like, photo books is a beautiful tool to make, to build the archive, because then everyone can have it, can archive it at his place. But like, yeah, photography is, of course, a form of resistance, because you go against a narrative that's being told and being built. You tell your own story. You tell the story of your people. And steadfastness is connected to photography and filming, because you keep going. You will not let anyone silence you. So, yeah.
Maybe it's also for the people who don't have, or probably won't have access to such a photo book. Like, where does the, kind of in the sense of an open access? Am I saying this correctly? I'm asking the question asker. Yeah? Is there any way that this archive is available to anyone?
I have my Instagram as archive, but maybe in a few years, when a museum comes and asks me, "Can we get your archives?" Yeah, you're welcome.
Who knows? Dream big.
Yeah, it's about this little film with the kids smiling and laughing and jumping in front of the camera. And I have a comment first and a question second. It reminds me of this line of a poem from Mahmoud Darwish: وَنَحْنُ نُحِبُّ الْحَيَاةَ إِذَا مَا اسْتَطَعْنَا إِلَيْهَا سَبِيلًا. And we cherish life when we have a way to it. It's a very powerful little movie for me. It touched me. I wanted to I don't know, I felt something, but I wanted to ask you, how do you decide to put on the camera and film this? Like, it's nothing, like, there was nothing probably happened before you make this photo or this film.
No, I saw the people, like, I arrived by car to, for me, the first, like, Afghanistan, I saw people, like, they had a game in the streets. It's actually a match, like, throwing stones, like rocks. Actually, this game should be in Palestine, but it's in Afghanistan. But then I went out of the car, told the guys I want to film this. And then when I was setting up my camera, I saw all these kids like coming in front of the camera. Then just put the camera on. And I just kept rolling, you know, pretending I'm still setting up. So yeah. And then they were like, it was very natural at that time. And sometimes it's just, sometimes I see an image and I think it's a beautiful photo, but then I capture it in video because that moment is so valuable and I want it for my own memories as well. Sometimes I just, when I'm alone, I go throughout my archives, I go throughout the memories, and then just think about the people I've spent time with, think about the places where I've slept. Like I've slept in caves, I've slept outside in parks, I've slept in the most crazy places, but it was all worth it. And everything that's gonna be happening in the near future is worth it 1,000 times. So yeah, I'm trying to look, she was asking me, Julia was asking me about the happy moments.
Yeah, go, I think it's a good moment now.
Yeah, this is also like one of the moments when we were in the operational room and the attack was happening in Jenin. You know, just a raw moment. So at that moment I decided to take video because I cannot like explain everyone the moment I lived in and the moment what I felt at that time. And this is like shortly later when also another attack happened and the Israelis came really close. Yeah, this is what I want to show you, like the happy moments. If they can put the music loud. It's a Palestinian mosh pit. You know, and the story behind this, half of the men on that wedding got killed recently. So one day we are happy, next day we are having sorrow. And the groom, I still remember, you know, he stopped with his car, he told me, you have to go to my wedding. And the groom got killed 9th of November. So that's our reality. And that's the importance of showing all of this to you, to the world. Because I don't, you know, when they see, oh, crazy man dancing with guns, but you know, the reason they were dancing with guns is the first wedding being held in the camp after a long period, after they lost many of their friends. And then finally, when they came out together, not knowing it's actually the last wedding. And since, actually, many of them have been killed too. Yeah.
Let's go to the question here. Yeah?
I can only imagine how estranged you must feel from European society after coming back from one of these travels. So I was wondering if you could describe what it feels like in kind of the first days of being back here after spending time there. Like, what do you feel? Is that anger, frustration? Is that gratitude that you're safe? What is that kind of feeling that you have coming back in a world that is so different from what you've experienced there?
Like honestly, in the first days, I always like overwhelmed, kind of bit of looking for the boring things, just having a coffee with a friend, just walking around the streets, trying to find life boring again after being in so much tension. But it feels difficult, especially when you receive a phone call, look, there is a new attack on our area. One of our friends got killed. And it never stops, it keeps going actually. Like, it's nice to be back so I can zoom out. And then if I zoom in and go back again, I can do even much more better work than I did before. But it's always overwhelmed, stressful, because you never know. You say goodbye to people and you come to the Netherlands. Next time you're just saying hello again in front of their graves. And that's the difficult thing, honestly. And that's what many people won't understand. But you're just a filmmaker. What's your relation? Some people are my family. Some people are my youth friends. And even every Palestinian, every Iraqi, every Afghani, every Syrian, every Yemeni is part of my family. All those people are oppressed are one family. Like if you don't know oppression, you will never know how it feels. And that's why we cry always for everyone leaving us. And that's why we always smile when we see one alive. It's actually always when I travel and when I arrive in Palestine, just wondering who's still alive, who I'm gonna see again. And since young age, actually.
Do you think, Sakir, that there is any danger in being this close to your, or danger is maybe the wrong word, but is there any extra difficulty that comes with being the photographer, but also being the friend, the family member, the close ally?
No, actually, I think it's just giving me the possibility to make the best work out of it. Even with Obada, I became friends with Obada. It just all goes naturally. And that's how you make the best work. Because there is no distance anymore between you and the people. And you still know by yourself, my profession is I'm a photographer, I'm a filmmaker. But I'm also a human.
I have another question here. If there's
and regarding the danger, like, if you see, even if you wear a press vest nowadays, you get killed. Without, you got killed. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know.
You say you're a filmer and you want to go to the movie academy, but are you more a filmer or a journalist, or is it the same to you?
No, I'm an artist. I'm not a journalist anymore. I like journalism. Like in my work is related to journalism, but I don't call myself journalist anymore. I don't. Yeah. I know journalist. Yeah. I don't know. It's a classic title for like going with your notebook, writing stories, or making reports, or just being live on television. I don't do these things. And I respect all journalists. I mean, like for me, the meaning of journalism is the classic journalism, like what we still see nowadays. If you go to newsrooms, they will ask you, okay, did you ask the other side? Did you tell the story of that person? Investigative journalism. But I'm a visual man, like trying to visualize stories. I prefer to call myself a documentary photographer, filmmaker, visual artist. Because it's sorrow and poetry in one.
Another one over here, and it's beeping a bit.
First of all, I want to thank you for showing us your artwork. And my question for you is, how do you prepare yourself for going there? Because you're leaving your family here as well. You're leaving family there when you're leaving the country there, but in here you're leaving as well. How do you prepare yourself?
I don't know if I prepare myself. I always like longing to go back, because sometimes I feel my heart belongs there with the people. Also here, like when I'm there, I miss here. When I'm here, I miss there. So I don't know if I ever leave. Like my name is in Arabic Sakir. Sakir means falcon. So I just fly in between the two worlds and trying to survive. When it's boring here, I go back there, because when it's boring, I feel that I can do really something good and meaningful. And when I'm overwhelmed with emotions there, I can come back here to the Netherlands to empty my brains and to see what I did. And because I know I will always return, hopefully, I never prepare myself. Like, of course, you prepare yourself logistically, like you pack your stuff and everything. But that's easy. But mentally, I'm always prepared for both worlds.
In terms of expectation management, we have time for some too long or a couple more short questions.
Oh, by the way, you all saw Chihuahua, right? This is Chihuahua.
When was this taken?
It was taken on the one day before I left, end of September.
Is this the last photo you took from the project?
No, the last project is Chihuahua's friend. And let me see. By the way, this story is on ADHD, like I just go all over the place. But this photo, this kid, like it was close to the concrete wall, like the separation barrier near Jenin. And this kid is 5 years old and he was born out of smuggled sperm. His father was the couple you saw, like a few photos ago, the father and the mother, like standing between the olive trees. They are his parents. His father was in prison 20 years. And I think a few years before he went out of prison, they smuggled his sperm in a chocolate bar. And that's what's happening actually in Palestine a lot, with people sentenced for a lifetime or sentenced for a long period who got arrested right after their marriage. So he got married and 2-3 years later he was arrested. And he spent like 20 years in prison. And he's, you know, while he was in prison, 2 of his kids were born. And one of them is this boy. So many pictures, I had to remove
we
many.
didn't really do a great job on creating a logical collection, but I think that's okay.
Is battery out of working?
No, we're here.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is the last picture I took. His name is Al-Ararawi. And he was killed together with Chihuahua by an Israeli suicide drone. Like they were standing and the drone just flew right in the middle of them and exploded. And they were killed by the shrapnels. And this is in the mosque while his friends were saying goodbye. So all the hands are from his friends. So the first picture was a dead person. The last picture was a dead person.
As you said, I think the photographer of the dead is actually quite... It makes sense, maybe.
I was wondering when you feel like you have done these stories and these people justice, because I was born here, but I've had the privilege to visit Afghanistan many times.
Mm-hmm.
And when I try to talk to people about what I've seen, or I never know if I have done the country justice or the people that I've seen. So when do you know, okay, I've done my job here? Or
when I'm not staying here and just looking at what's happening. Like, it feels good that you can mean something to your country, that you can capture the country in a certain way, that you can capture photos to show to the world, and nobody can tell you like, oh, I didn't know. So I don't feel any guilt of... I might feel guilty when I just sit here and watch my people being killed, my homeland being... my people being oppressed, and the occupation keeps going. Yeah.
I'm just crossing with you, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like because of your Palestinian identity, you've taken it upon yourself to show all the injustice happening in the world and the atrocities to the point that you've put your life on danger? And also, like, how do you remain hopeful and inspired to pick up the camera despite all the killings surrounding you and all the things happening, like until the point you can finally film in color?
I believe that oppression is not doesn't have an unlimited time of oppressing people. If you see, like, many dictators are gone, I believe one day it will be better. When, I don't know. Maybe I'll be an old man. Maybe I'll be dead. But definitely next generations, it will be much better.
Let's see what's the best way to get to you. I'll come from behind.
And do you think because there are like more people like you who capture these things, is that also one thing that kind of, hoe zeg je bevestigen? Confirm like your view on that it's gonna get better? Do you think like that's what makes like the difference from our generation or maybe the next one than like from our like the older generations? So that there are more people like you and who capture these things and more people who see it. Do you think that plays a big role in it?
I think nowadays, like, even while we're seeing it, but the world is becoming more violent as well. So I don't know, by capturing it, if it becomes better. It's at least we capture and we archive and we show. But honestly, I'm not very optimistic, to be honest. Like, if you see the world, it's all fires on the world, you know. Today it's Palestine that's burning, tomorrow maybe another country. Like, we have even the warfare changed. Everything is by drones now. And it's just proving how violent they are, and they are very happy with it as well. I'm honestly scared of the future and what's going to happen in the near future. Like, of course, I stay hopeful because we still live, we still smile, we still go on. But it's also a very dangerous time. I don't like to push the narrative of being hopeful, honestly. Because I can't be very hopeful and optimistic while thousands are dying. And we see all these little children, women and men, wrapped in white sheets, being buried in mass graves. And the world is just going along and being silent on what's happening. And I'm not talking about you guys, but politically, the system. It's such a rotten system that allows people to be killed. And trying to whitewash everything that's happening. Yeah, I don't know.
I recently heard someone say that being hopeful is not necessarily being optimistic, but it's going to clean up the mess despite whatever it is. So still getting to work, seeing the mess for what it is, not making it any prettier, and still getting up every day and try to do your job or the thing that it is that you do. And speaking of that, and maybe also closing the evening, and you'll stick around, I think, right?
What time is it?
It's 9:45, almost.
9:45. We have time.
We have time. So if there's any other pressing questions, think about them very... I see one here. That's great. But I wanted to ask you, if at some point your job's done, due to whatever circumstance, what do you hope to have left on this earth? What do you hope to leave behind?
A legacy of work that might inspire others to do the same.
And is it important for people to know your name?
No, know my work, don't know my name.
Better be a good question.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to thank you because I'm also from the West Bank, and usually any picture that gets out of there is about perfect or photographers trying to make the perfect victim. You're one of the only photographers I know that doesn't do that. So I actually wanted to ask you, how come that you do not think of appeasing or making images that would kind of awake the Western world to Palestinian humanity, and how you have, if you've always been past it, or like not tried to do it and just taking the pictures as it is, or if there was a turning point that made you be like, no, I'm just gonna show as it is and not make it any pretty or perfect victim white.
No, I never like. It took me a long time to focus on Palestine. It's actually since 2021, and and I've been working in the field since 2014. I was always, I'm honest, scared of telling how it is and not being accepted on newsrooms. People being scared of my narrative. I'm getting all these lobby groups behind me, all those negative response on Twitter for everything I said. Because, you know, back in 2014, it's the same as now. If you say Free Palestine, you'll get 1,000 behind you for saying, oh, being anti-Semitic. So I didn't know how to deal with these things. And maybe it was good that I started to focus on Palestine after developing myself, after becoming stronger in myself, after becoming mentally stronger. And now I just, maybe that's the reason also how I'm doing the thing I do like I do. Just a raw, intimate look in our society. In all societies I visit. I don't want to make it more prettier than it is, more sad than it is, because it's like even the black and white photography, it has no colors, but the emotions captured carry 1,000 emotions, which stand for colors. And I don't need to show how sad we are, how weak we are, how strong we are. I think people will see themselves by just the raw, intimate look in what I capture and what I see, and the honesty I capture with who we really are and what I stand for.
Another last attempt, or another attempt at a last question.
You know, the question that we're hearing a lot nowadays on social media is the famous question, do you condemn Hamas? Of course, everybody is asking, right? What are your thoughts when you hear somebody asking this question?
I think it's a very wrong question to ask people. Like then if someone asks me that question, I will go on the streets and ask every white man, do you condemn slavery? Do you condemn the Holocaust? Do you condemn your great ancestors sending all the Jews on trains to Auschwitz? Do you condemn 75 years of violence? Do you condemn Deir Yassin? Do you condemn Tantura? Do you condemn Sabra and Shatila? Do you condemn the almost 70 journalists killed in Gaza? Do you condemn the thousands of children buried under the bombs? Do you condemn the invasion of Afghanistan? Do you condemn Iraq? Do you condemn the Cambodia, Vietnam? Do you condemn everything that the Westerns have done? Do you condemn all of the killing of the people? Yeah.
I think you've provided everyone with the perfect answer for any future question asked about condemning Hamas. Sakir, is there anything else you haven't shown yet, but you still want to show?
I think there was a short video, but I don't know where it is.
This is the chaos.
This is the photo, by the way, I told you guys about I would never use. Yeah, it's a horrible photo. Like we're gonna end up with a video. What's this? Yeah, this video. It's actually like how we even copy and go on in a war zone with life. Like people are dying, but even we keep going and we just live along and we smile and we make jokes. Like for the Arabic speakers, they will understand this, but I will later translate it for those who don't speak Arabic. Or like I would do it live while talking. Like we're going here to the front lines in northern Hama. I'm with Abdel Basit. And we're just crossing into Latamni.
أبو إيمان اليوم جمعة بكرة بده يكون المقر إن شاء الله 90% جاهز بعد بكرة على السكن إن شاء الله. هاي نقاط رباط مسافات قريبة بينه وبين الجيش عارف شلون؟ والطريق خطر مكشوف اسمع والاستطلاع على طول بالجو.
He's saying like we are on the front lines and the drone is above us and we're very close distance to the army. He is talking about that he planted a minefield in between the trenches, that if the enemy tries to surprise them, everything will explode.
هذا لغم.
He said this is a mine.
عارف شو؟ بس اكبس عليه يبجي.
Press on it and it will explode.
يعني إذا زتيت اللغم هذا بالعكس.
If I throw this one upside down, it will explode.
حط ايدك هيك بس عليه.
Press on it. Just press.
إذا كبست عليه يبجر.
Then it will explode.
هاي شو اسمه؟ تبعيد كاز مثل ينحط لها فوق مثل الصوبة تصير الدفع. عطلان.
He said, I'm kidding, bro. This is just a small thing to warm up the teapot and stuff. He says he's laughing, you know I'm messing up with him. And this is the last video, you know. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sakir, for joining us in this messy trip through your head and your work. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for asking these great questions. The next edition of Fotokroniek will be in 2024. Do we have a date already? I don't think so. I think you should just check the website. But if you have any photographers in particular that you would love to see starred in this series, you can send an email to camille@dezwijger.nl and she'll see what she can do. And for now, have a great December month and see you back in the new year.